I'm just kind of giving this cabbage a little massage because it seems like it was stressed out. Hey guys, this is Brian from Cook's Country, and today we're going to be making homemade sauerkraut. Now this recipe is inspired by my recent trip to Olympia Provisions out in Portland, Oregon. And when I was there, I met with chef and owner Eli Cairo, and he showed me how to make charcuterie garnie, which translates into sauerkraut garnish, basically. And since sauerkraut is such a major player in that recipe, we're going to make our own delicious sauerkraut from scratch. So the first step in making our sauerkraut is that we're going to break down this 2.5 pound head of cabbage. Now we're using specifically 2.5 pounds, and we're going to be using 4 teaspoons of canning salt, and that's just the right ratio. If you had a larger head of cabbage, you'd probably need a little bit more salt. All right, so we're going to break this down each half into thirds, right through the core. And then you just want to remove the core, just like this. Sauerkraut is one of those things that you could easily buy. However, it's really delicious when you make it on your own because you can really tweak the flavor. In this one today, we're just going to be adding a little bit of juniper. And now we're just going to thinly slice this. You could do this on a mandolin or you could do it with a knife. This doesn't have to be perfect by any means. I kind of like it when there's odd shaped pieces in there because they add a little bit more texture. So now we're going to transfer all this cabbage to a bowl here. All right, so now to this we're going to add 4 teaspoons of canning and pickling salt. We're using canning and pickling salt here because it tends to dissolve a little bit more quickly than, say, kosher salt, but you could use an equal weight of kosher salt if you wanted. So we're just going to get in here with our hands, kind of toss this around, and really massage the cabbage. What we're trying to do is work out some of the moisture from the cabbage. So we'll do this for anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes or so until the cabbage begins to release some of its liquid and begins to break down a little bit. So I'm just kind of giving this cabbage a little massage because it seems like it was stressed out. So I tend to do this massage technique because it helps expedite the process of the moisture coming out of the cabbage, but you could also just let it sit here for a little while and the moisture will naturally come out. And sometimes I do that because I want a little bit more texture in the cabbage. So you can see some of the moisture starting to come out of it, and you know you're doing it right because you've made a bit of a mess everywhere. And so I'm going to add, just for flavoring today, I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of juniper berries. Just kind of toss that in. And that's just going to give us a nice piney juniper flavor. And sometimes I also add mustard seeds, a little bit of coriander seeds, black pepper, some fresh dill. All are nice additions to this, but today we're just keeping it simple. Okay, now that all the cabbage has been mixed with the salt and the juniper's in there, we're going to put it into our fermenting crock here. Now this is sort of a specialty piece of equipment, but if you make sauerkraut or even kimchi a lot, this is a great piece of equipment to have. So if you didn't have this, you could use a large jar and just cover the mouth with a little bit of cheesecloth and a rubber band. All right, so we're going to add all this cabbage into the jar here. And if it starts filling up a little bit, you just want to push it down with your hand. Really compact it in there. And then we'll just pour the rest of this in. And we want to get any of that brine that's been extruded from the cabbage into the bowl as well, or into the crock. All right, so this is filled almost to the top, and this is a 2-liter jar. So obviously you use something like a 2-quart jar or 2 separate smaller 1-quart jars. What we're going to do is we're going to use this log jammer here, and we're going to push the cabbage down to get it below the surface of the brine that's been extruded from it. All right, so you see it's nicely packed in there, and the liquid level is coming up just right now to the surface of the cabbage in there, and that's really important. So if I didn't have this fermentation crock, I would put a piece of parchment paper on top and fill a Ziploc bag with water so it acts as a weight to keep the cabbage below the surface of the liquid. But this crock does come with these little ceramic weights, so we'll just put that right in top there, give it another press. And this again is just going to keep the cabbage below the level of the liquid as it's exuded from the cabbage. All right, so then we're going to put the top on. So one thing I want to point out here is that this inside rim doesn't have any extra cabbage pieces on it because it's going to create an airlock seal. So this lid goes on top, and then we're going to add a little bit of water. And that's going to allow the carbon dioxide that comes out during fermentation to evaporate out of the jar as it's created, but nothing can get into the jar. Okay, so now that our future sauerkraut is all set in the crock. We're gonna let this sit at room temperature, which is about 65 to 70 degrees, for about 6 days to ferment. Now, after 6 days, you wanna taste it and see if it's sour enough, it's salty enough, it's exactly where you like it. If not, you can let it go for about another week or so to get to the perfect level of fermentation. We happen to have this butte right here that's been chilling out for a little over a week. It's got a nice aroma to it. It's definitely sauerkraut. You pull out the weights. Maybe take a look at that. Looks pretty nice, looks exactly like sauerkraut. So we can give it a taste. It's got the perfect level of sour, nicely salty. You can pick up some of the juniper. I know it's easy to buy it from the store, but it's so much nicer when you make it yourself. The texture's there. It's so easily customizable with things like dill, coriander, mustard seeds, black pepper, that it's totally worth it if you have the time. So do you make your own sauerkraut at home? If so, let me know how you do it. Throw it down in the comments below. For this recipe and more delicious recipes just like it, go to cookscountry.com.